All right, hey guys, welcome to BP the Bible Perspective. And I told you how important the black vote was. Well, if you are not haven't been living under a rock, actually, I was at work today when the news came that they called it for Biden, and I believe the state that was able to kind of ushered them in was Georgia, and I'm going to come back to that in a moment. But before we get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP the Bible Perspective. And if you have a thought, a comment, by all means, feel free to add it to the comment. All comments are welcome. And okay, so right off, I got a comment I'm going to read. It says 32% black vote went to Trump. Laugh out loud. It'll be hilarious when all the fraud is exposed and he wins. Well, yeah. Well, if you think so, and that's good if you think so. Personally, I have no problems with the truth. And here's another one. It says Biden didn't win, the media did. Well, it's a matter of perspective, right? Fox News may not necessarily consider themselves winning. They win anyway, by the way, and I would agree to that they win either way, the media. But what was interesting, and I had shared this video before when I said how important the black vote was to the Electoral College. Now, Trump is still reeling from the news, the shock. He's crying fraud, as what is this? What you're doing, is claiming. Many of his supporters, of course, have taken upon the mantle of that there is massive voter fraud. Even his state-run media, Fox News, is not on board with that. And I would not put anything out of the realm of possibility. But for Trump to reverse the results, it would be, I'm going to say he's going to need close to a miracle. And it's not that there's not voter irregularity, that you can say that there are people doing anything from illegal to stupid stuff. Keep this in mind, that what they have to prove is that literally across 5 states, tens of thousands of votes were used to sway the election. That's what they have to do. Tens of thousands of votes were used to sway the election. That's what they have to prove. At least one of the things they have to prove. And that and the bottom line is that whatever it is they have to prove, that they have, the burden of proof is going to be on them to say that the election would have turned out differently had these egregious actions or alleged actions hadn't happened. Good luck on that, right? They can't prove it. The other thing is, we have to remember something. In 2016, and of course now everybody is reveling right now in the Biden win. Everybody is rejoicing. Remember in 2016, well, it wasn't this very night, of course, 2016. I think it was actually the night, because there wasn't a lot of controversy. Trump had won, and when you look at the electoral map, I'm gonna put it up right quick. When you look at the map, this is what Trump kind of, and these numbers might change. His numbers for the Electoral College, like his electoral number may go up from 214. Biden's number may go up, but it's 279. Now, here's the interesting thing when you see this map, okay, and I kind of talked about this before. back in 2016, what you have to understand is people didn't show up. People didn't show up. And as a result, that people didn't show up, Trump was able to win in swing states such as Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio. I think he'd already won Florida, but also Pennsylvania. Won fair and square. And just like we see tonight, there's a lot of rejoicing going on. There's a lot of jubilee. It was followed by protests, which it baffles me to this day, where you had a week after his inauguration, remember that worldwide protest of women against Trump, which I still baffle over that. People in Germany protesting Trump. I never got that. But anyway, so what changed? What changed between 2016 and now? Well, as far as to me, in my opinion, Trump's incredibly bad. He's bad for the country. And I think he squandered. I think he could, instead of building, he could have been a better president for sure. But I think his own character, he was just a bad person. And here's the interesting thing, by the way. So if you separate Trump from his antics, and they are a lot, they are hard to do, impossible to do. What is interesting to me is this. As a president, he wasn't a bad president in terms of job. His job, it wasn't the worst, wasn't the best. Okay. The COVID-19, because of his, to me, foolishness. The COVIDness did him in. Voter suppression did him in. What changed between 2016, and I said, remember in 2016, a lot of people didn't show up. It wasn't only black people, white women. He got 53% of the white women vote. Interesting enough, they're saying he had 55% of white women this time. That's interesting. But Trump was complaining. We'll bring this map back up. Was complaining that he was winning. So when you, I should have had. Now a lot of this, when you look at a lot of these other states, are more red. Like Texas is more red than anything else. Okay, but and red, of course, is Republicans, blue is Democrat. Okay, so the Electoral College, and again, to understand the Electoral College, the electors, these are the group of people who actually elect the president. They are a group of 538 representing each member of the House of Representatives, the congressman, and each member of the Senate. And I think 3 of them comes from the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. Okay. And this is why when you get this number 538, the person who gets 270 automatically win. There is a case, and I don't believe it's ever been happened, where there is a tie where each candidate can receive 269 votes. Okay. Like I say, I don't believe that's ever happened, but it's possible. Then in that case, Congress would cast a deciding vote. And under the current climate, since the House of Representatives have more, Biden would have won anyway. Okay. The Electoral College, of course, then the way you get the electors is the person who receives the majority of the votes in that state, and there are 48 of the states that have a winner take all. So if you have a situation like, let's take California, and you notice, if you can see that on your screen, California has 55 electoral votes. 55. So the person who would receive 51% of the California vote would get all of that 55. Now, as I said before, that is something that should change, because what that also says is that, say if you had 51%, then the 49% of the vote means absolutely nothing. And I think that's just unconstitutional, because in that case your votes mean nothing if you're on the losing side. Now, with this time, then again, you had this electoral. Now, by the way, electoral colleges also can change because of populations. For example, Illinois, in the next couple of years, they could lose some electoral because they're losing population in the state of Illinois. Texas could gain some because people are moving to Texas. Same thing with Georgia. Georgia can move some, can gain electoral votes because people are moving to Georgia. What changed in this election, 2016, a lot of people didn't show up to vote. In 2016, for example, I think it was nearly 100,000 people that didn't show up in Wisconsin. I think same thing, 100,000 so people who didn't, almost 500,000 people didn't vote in Michigan. So across where these electoral, this is how Trump got in, wasn't his base. And this is where he miscalculated, in my opinion, this time. People looked at his rallies, and his rallies were impressive. They remained impressive. Right now, he could go and assemble a rally and 15,000, 20,000 people will show up. But when you want to get millions of votes like he needs them, his base is not enough. And this is important here. It was the same in 2016. His base wasn't enough to get him across the finish line. So you have to so what happened is that people didn't vote. And that is the thing right here. So because people didn't vote in these key states like Georgia, the key states like Georgia, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, those key states that pull candidates across the line. So what happened? What changed? What changed this time? People showed up to vote. People were motivated to vote. And what happened was that on election night, and there's a lot more details we can get into, but on election night, Trump was winning. But see, when you count votes and you start in rural areas, it's why they're the easiest votes. They're the quickest votes. You get quicker returns. If you got a county that has 20,000 votes, and there are a lot of rural areas that the entire county, right? The entire county may have 20,000 votes. Okay, so you can count that and you can get that with ease. It's when they start counting the urban area, the cities. That's when the numbers change for Biden. And who was in some of these cities? You go to some of these towns right here. When they started counting in, for example, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Milwaukee, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Atlanta, that changed the numbers. Why? Because people came out and voted. The only difference, that changed was that people came out and they started to vote. That was the difference. That's what made the difference. And that's why it was the black vote that really pulled Biden across the finish line. And let me just say this. All votes are important. I'm not going to pull a Black Lives Matter. I'm not going to say black votes matter. They do. but all votes matter. It was just ironic that this time it was the black vote that pulled Biden across the finish line. And this is what you see, the finest vote here. Electoral vote was 279. And when they got to that, it was game over. Now, as I said, there's going to be a lot of challenges to that, and we'll see how far they go. I don't personally think that they may at best stall. Like I say, the burden on them is that they have to prove that whatever actions, even if they can prove the actions happen. And yeah, you got knuckleheads out there on both sides, right? They have to prove tens of thousands, and that those tens of thousands of crimes and voter fraud sway the outcome in the various states. And it's just not going to happen, in my opinion. But that's my perspective. Don't forget to like and share this video, and please subscribe to BP The Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comments section below. All comments are welcome. Till next time, I will see you then.